Hi, welcome back. So, guys, as part of the previous sessions, right, we have studied about the structure that we were using, followed by, the asynchronous, await, all these things that we have used. But if you look at the first program that it got generated, we have used, in order to get this particular locator, if you remember, we have used the XCUI test, right? The XCUI test locators that we have used. Right. So the quick question that we have right now is, Surendra, that's fine. In this situation, we have used an XCUI test locator. Does this detox have any specific inspector sessions like, in a XCUI test, we were using the source code and we were identifying the elements using a PO app. Whereas for an APM, we have an inspector session from where we are getting it. Do we have any search for this particular detox? So the answer for this one is a no. We don't have any direct inspector sessions for this particular detox. We are just using the traditional. If you go with an iOS, right, we will be using the Xcode inspector functionality, accessibility inspector that you have in an Xcode. And if you go for an Android, right, we will be using that particular, Android inspector that comes with your Android Studio. That we will be looking at later as part of this session, right? Let us focus more on the Xcode accessibility inspector. So prior to that, I have already opened my project in an Xcode, followed by I have already opened my simulator. And guys, in order to work on this particular application, at the very first time, for sure, you need to use this npm start from the terminal that will let your app run on that particular backend. So as and when you open your application, right, as and when you open your application, it will load successfully without having any issues. So for suppose, if I haven't used control C, I just stopped it, and if you look at the simulator, the app got killed because of this particular issue. So it's mandatory for us to do this npm start. This is the sample application that we have created. That's the reason you need to use the npm start whenever you are working on a project specific applications. If you have a direct app file with you, you no need to use this npm start. That's fine. So moving further, right, I just started my npm start and I just launched my simulator in which I have opened. Now how we can identify the locators? So open the Xcode, and in the Xcode, if you go to the Open Developer Tools, we have an Accessibility Inspector. Select this Accessibility Inspector. Okay. And here, let me highlight that particular area where you need to change. So here, this is pointing to my laptop. That's the laptop. And if you click out over there, it will show you an option, buddy. You want to use this accessibility inspector on this machine or on this simulator? As of now, my intention is I want to identify the locators on a simulator. Just choose this particular simulator. As part of the simulator, see the another highlighted area. This is the one. So if this is in a highlighted mode, which means that you can go and select any element on a mobile. For that element, all the details would be populated here. Now, let me open my simulator, and here at the bottom you have a home button and as well as an explore button, right? A home and as well as an explore. So now what I am using right now here is directly click on this explore button. As and when you clicked on that particular explore button, the locator should be populated. Okay, let me select this one. Let me see here. Whenever you mouse over on explore, the details are being populated. Click on it, and if you look at it, this is having a label. This is having this particular attribute as a button, and you can perform this particular actions also. That's fine. I'm not doing anything. So here it is having a label attribute. So copy this label attribute, come back to your VS code. Okay, come back to your VS code. And here, what I am doing right now here is await. Okay, so I was asking it to expect. So we will see what exactly this particular expect is. So by dot label, and my desired element here is this one. And what we need to do to be visible, I am asking it to wait until it to be visible. That's it. So this is what my tester that I have a configured right now. So as of now, I'm killing this accessibility inspector as it is blocking my way. So I just updated my locator. So with that, what we have done right now for a particular desired explore button, right? It's a type of a button. I was able to capture the label property and I have used a by dot label. So immediately a question that comes in our mind, Surendra, you have used a label. How would I know what are all the various types that I can use it? So that's gonna be our next concept that we are gonna study as part of our next session, which is from your first test script page from the detox documentation, there are a matches. See, if you look at it, basically here is the highlighted area from where this is talking about an actions. What kind of an actions you can perform? How can you click on it? How can you enter a value? How can you perform a double tap operation? For all these actions, what are all the relevant commands that you have in a detox would be mentioned as part of an actions. So assertions, how can you make sure that whether that action got a performed, that would be deal using these assertions. And the next one is a matches. So let me click on these matches, and if you look at it, so basically we have these many types of attributes, these many types of ways using which you can identify any particular element, among which as of now I just picked an id for a reference. In the next session we will be looking at all these examples. So we'll try to pick certain examples and we'll see how exactly the application is responding. Okay, so perfectly all right. So let's come back to the code right now. Among all those things, I have used a by dot label, and this is what it is. So simply, we need to run this particular test as part of this just a configuration. It's targeting this dot test dot js in my E2E. That's the only one which has that information. Pull up my terminal and let me press an up arrow and let me try to run this program and check it out whether it is performing the visibility of that element or not. So the detox should launch that particular app on that device. So here it's just installing the app on that device, and once the installation is successful it will try to launch the app, and once the app got launched it will check the visibility of that particular element, and it is saying that one suit has a one test case, it got a passed successfully. This is the way how you can identify the elements. Not only this a simple element, you can work, you can pick any of your application specific elements and you can simply validate it. See here, I'm just selecting this particular button, and now if you select this welcome, the welcome is having a label. So you can directly put on that particular label. Or if you select this home is of a button type and this is having this particular label. Okay, the same way if you can go to this explorer, so this is the chunk that it does has. Not only this application guys, using this accessibility inspector, right, you can identify any application. Let me pick the UI kit catalog application and select this alerts view. So it does has a alerts view label and every information is there. If you want to pick anything, right, no matter whichever the element that you want to interact, so tap this one. Okay, so action, I'm just performing that particular, I can perform that particular action also. Select this button or alerts view. Okay, so let me select this simple. So this simple is having a label and it's having a text, and this is the action that you can perform. All these things they have a given here. Okay, perfectly all right. So, as part of the next session, let us deep dive into the various locators by picking onto the different applications, and let us handle, okay, let us try to understand more about this particular locators concept. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next lecture. Thank you.